guys, Dakota here, and welcome back to the Driven Mad channel. So, since a couple weeks ago I gave you guys an update on the 392 and how it was doing, and my mod plans on that, I figured, why not do the same thing with the Bronco after a little over 5,000 miles and just over 3 months. Let's go ahead and talk about kind of, if there are any issues, we're just going to go ahead and address all that stuff up front, and then we'll talk about kind of the mod plans later, because I do have some things that are already in the works. So, how is it held up? Well, it's only 5,000 miles and it's only 3 months old, so you would hope that it would be pretty solid. And mechanically, that's exactly the case. There's been zero issues when, you know, taking it off-road, as far as activating the lockers or disengaging them. There hasn't been any issues with that. Or, you know, using the sway bar disconnect, that hasn't messed up at all. No engine issues or transmission issues as of yet. Again, which you should expect, being that it's a brand new car. I've been using it as my daily driver since I've had it, and I have not had any issues yet. You know, as far as gas mileage and everything, it gets surprisingly good gas mileage for having, you know, 35s in a 4.7 final drive ratio. Again, mine is the two-door Sasquatch Badlands with the automatic and the V6. Now, one thing that I probably should point out, because I know some people are gonna probably care about this, so if you're not familiar with any of my videos, feel free to check them out on the Bronco. I've got a few of them. But my Bronco was a day one reservation. I reserved it 3 hours after they announced it, and the order got placed in February of 2021, and it got delivered October of 2021, so about 8 months apart. So I got a fairly early build and a fairly early two-door and we'll just hardtop in general. Now, between then though, mine was, they halted production because they were still having hardtop issues and things like that. And then I got mine after that. With that being said, so even though it was an early build, I haven't had any mechanical issues. Interior, the only issue we'll say that I've had is the wireless CarPlay, which isn't always, I don't think that's necessarily the car. Sometimes I do feel like that's the phone, because I was having a lot of issues. Then I updated my phone, and then that stopped. So again, some of that could be the phone, some of that could be the car, just kind of depends. And the only other electronic issue, if you will, and again, this could also be down to the phone, is the wireless charging pad seems to make my phone get very hot. This is the only car, well, no, I guess the Corvette had the wireless charging pad, I just never used it. The wireless charging pad does heat up my phone. Again, that could just be down to the phone, don't know. And it's not a consistent charge. You know, if it slides around, it doesn't stay in the spot where it needs to stay in order to keep the charge. But overall, other than that, again, I haven't had any issues where I'm like, man, this is a problem. So, is there any problem? Yes. The problem is basically still the same Achilles heel the Broncos had since they've come out with it and since they've announced it, which is the hardtop. It is still by far one of the worst things about the Bronco, if you get a hardtop, because if you guys have seen any of my previous videos, you guys know that I think it is ridiculously loud. But aside from that, I have not removed this top at all. Just so you guys know, I haven't taken these little panels off. I haven't touched it. I have not even attempted to remove this top. But with that being said, it squeaks and it rattles, and it's right here, this little guy right here. That clip rattles. So I'll see if I can get a clip of it here and show you guys. You know, again, this thing has 5,000 miles on it. It's not that old. It's been off-road a couple of times, but for me to have not ever even touched the roof and for it to rattle the way that it does, it's not super loud, but you hear it. And the only time that you don't really hear it is when you're going on longer road trips where you're up at higher speed to where the wind noise kind of just drowns it out. But again, hardtop, it squeaks and it rattles, and some of the spots around the clips, they peel a little bit. And there's also another squeak that's at the back, somewhere back here, and I cannot figure out what it is or where it's coming from. It sounds like it's from the top, but to be perfectly honest with you, I just can't quite tell. I can't figure out where it is, but it does to me sound like the top. And now some of you might be thinking, oh, well, it's an off-road vehicle, who cares? I get you, but when its main competitor doesn't do that, that's a problem. So, like I said, my two-door JL is over 3 years old and has over 50,000 miles on it, probably almost 60,000 now. It's been off-road plenty of times, and its roof doesn't do that. It doesn't, and I've taken it off a bunch of times, and it doesn't do that. The 392, same thing, doesn't have any issues as far as rattling and things like that go. So yeah, the top is definitely the Achilles heel of the Bronco. They definitely need to work on the hard top. But again, other than that, I haven't had any issues with it whatsoever. You know, nothing on the interior is rattling. You know, it's not like there's seats that are rattling, or you know, anything else is rattling or squeaking. So that's good. It's literally just the top that has some quality issues, if you will, which again, everyone's kind of aware of. So Ford just needs to still figure out what they got to do with the hard top, because it is nowhere near the same level as the Wrangler is in terms of the top and the construction of the top and the quality of the top. So with that being said, let's go ahead and head back to the garage, and we will talk about some of the mod plans that I have planned for the Bronco. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and talk about some of the mod plans that I have for the Bronco. And the first thing we're going to talk about is in the back. So I actually already have this ordered. The first thing that we're going to do, or at least depending on when it shows up, is we're going to get the goose gear plate system back here, and I went ahead and ordered the goose gear 50% rear seat delete. So we're going to get rid of this seat, the passenger side, just because it'll give us a lot more room, but I can still keep that third seat to where I can put and then we can put like a fridge slide in here and get a little bit more space and have a flat load space, as opposed to when we fold this down, like I've shown you guys before, having that hump back there. So that's probably a month or so out. The stuff's on back order, but that is one of the first things that I'm doing to the Bronco. So the next thing that we're going to be looking at is for the fenders. So if you guys are familiar, ADV Fiberglass is making some fenders for the Bronco, and they currently have a 2-inch fender flare kit, but not for the two-door as of yet. And they have a 5-inch fender flare kit, and I think I'm leaning more towards the 5-inch. They say that for the two-door, it's supposed to be coming pretty soon in terms of when you can add it. So the benefit's going to be it's also an inch higher. So you're going to get an inch rise, which means that you can probably fit 37s without having to do a lift, because there's still a decent amount of room in there to where I think you'd be able to do that. So that's one thing. Like I said, they said that it's coming in about the Q2 of 2022. So I'm kind of leaning towards that. They haven't made two-door fender kits yet, but they said they're working on them. So that's probably one thing that I'll do. And then once I have that, then we'll probably look at adding some bigger tires. As you guys know, the Sasquatch package comes with 35s. And if I do get that 1 inch extra, I might throw on some 37-inch KO2s on here without doing a lift, just because currently there's not a whole lot of lift options. There are some, but I kind of want to wait to see what comes out on the market and everything before I start messing with the suspension. I want to make sure that it's a lift from a company that has made a lot of good lifts for, say, like the Jeeps. So I don't just want to throw anything on there that just happens to be first to market. I want to make sure it's a good quality kit. As far as wheels go, I'm going to kind of leave those alone because I actually like those wheels. I think they look pretty good. I may do something with the beadlock ring and get that powder coated like blue or something like that. But at the moment, that's currently the plans. And actually these tires, while they have worked fairly well off-road, on-road they make a lot of noise, so I may change those sooner rather than later, but we'll see. Next, as I've mentioned many times, the roof itself is super loud, and I would like to get a headliner kit for it that isn't from the factory, not the Ford one, because again, I've heard some bad things about that one. And I was thinking that I would go ahead and get a new roof, because again, ADV Fiberglass was going to make a roof for it, but they're not making a roof for two doors, which really sucks, because that's the biggest problem that I have with this. So I was really looking forward to potentially getting a hard top from them, but they're only making it for the 4-door. But speaking of the top, I am looking for a roof rack that will work with this. So that way I can just kind of go back and forth between this and the 392 the other Jeep as far as like rooftop tents and whatnot, but there you go. All right guys, so other than that, that's really kind of all that I'm thinking as far as for the Bronco. You know, I don't really have a whole lot of plans at the moment, just because there's not a whole lot of other options to do, if that makes sense. And then eventually I will probably do a lift later on, but that's kind of my plans for the moment. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions about the Bronco that I maybe didn't address in this that you want to know about, please feel free to leave a comment down below, and I'll try to do my best to answer them. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe. And if you do subscribe, make sure to click that little bell notification so you get notified for more videos, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.